What's going on, YouTubers? My name is Cblock, and I'm here to give you something that I've been wanting to talk to everybody about for a long time. And it's something, especially now that there was a list that recently came out online that said the top 50 greatest rappers of all time. With Joe Buns being number 3. Ha! Number 3, got him! Nah. But for reals, 50 greatest rappers of all time. And normally when you see this list of greatest rappers of all time, when you get this list of great rappers of all time, for the most part, you always have kind of the same rappers in the same realm, unless the generation gap is different, where somebody was born in 2005, their greatest rappers of all time might be different from somebody from me that was born in 1985. But today's topic in this video is the greatest rappers of all time that never get mentioned. I myself have my top 10 favorite rappers of all time. And it normally balances out with whatever everybody thinks. So I have Nas and Eminem as number 1. I'm just not gonna juggle that one around. It's just how I see it. They're both my number 1s. Tupac at number 2. People are gonna think this is crazy, but I have The Game at number 3, which is one of my favorite rappers of all time. And I don't think he's ever made a bad album. Number 4, Jay-Z. Number 5, J. Cole. Number 6, Kendrick Lamar. Number 7, Kanye West. Number 8, Big Pun. Number 9, Notorious B.I.G. And number 10, Drake. These are just artists that I tend to play a lot without me really thinking about it. If I want to go listen to them, I just hit play and there you go. Most other rappers, I kind of have to think about it and maybe get myself into the mood. In today's video, the best rappers of all time that never get mentioned, the forgotten GOATs, I'm going to mention one man, and one man only, who probably should be in everybody's top 10 regardless. He probably is the best rapper of all time, but we never put him on that list. And why is that? I am talking about the SNOOPDOGG Snoop Dizzle Fo Shizzle.
Like that, and as a matter of fact, cause I never hesitate to put a fool on his back. Yeah.
Snoop Dogg has done it all. He has done it all. So why is he never mentioned on the list? Why is it that as time passes, we kind of forget about him as a GOAT? Because in 1990, I believe 1992, 93, when his first album Doggy Style came out, and I should know this, but I don't. I think no, The Chronic was 1992. Doggy Style was 93 or 94, 93 probably. Like after that hype with this album, because it was one of the most awaited albums in history, really. We have a few albums in rap's history, but Snoop Dogg's first album was in that, right? Now, what makes Snoop Dogg so great is that, shoot, your mom knows who Snoop Dogg is. Your mom's mom knows who Snoop Dogg is. Your grandma's Snoop Dogg. Your great-grandmother's mother's knows who Snoop Dogg is. Everybody knows who Snoop Dogg is. To me, Snoop Dogg in hip-hop is equivalent to knowing Babe Ruth in baseball. Hockey is Wayne Gretzky, however you say his fucking name. Soccer, that Beckham dude. Like, you know these artists and these athletes, and Snoop Dogg is right there with hip-hop. You should know who Snoop Dogg is. And most people will argue that he's only had one good album. But have you really listened to his whole entire discography? The man has great albums, and I'm not even talking about his first one. I think the Dogfather is great. I think the No Limit album, not the third one when he first signed with No Limit, but the fourth one, Top Dog, I believe. After that, he had The Last Meal, which is a solid project too. Then he had the album with Pharrell where he dropped It Like It Hot. Now, which is funny because Snoop Dogg has only had one number 1 hit go platinum worldwide, which is crazy to think, but one song, and that is obviously Drop It Like It's Hot.
When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Which is crazy. His first album should have had many hits, but for some reason Drop It Like It's Hot did it for everybody. And as after that, I kind of think it as kind of the decline, not as far as Snoop Dogg just not being relevant anymore, but just because, the albums started coming in left and right. Snoop Dogg overall, though, is always putting out very good quality sounding albums, and I still love most of his shit today. There's a lot of songs that I still like. There's a lot of songs that you probably haven't even heard that I'll probably put on this video. Also, Snoop Dogg, though he has only had one #1 hit for himself, he's actually been on a few platinum tracks. I Wanna Love You with Akon, California Girls with Katy Perry, especially when you can make it sound good. Snoop Dogg has worked with so many artists throughout the years, and I mean not even just in hip hop, other artists too from different genres. He has worked with Insane Clown Posse, Limp Bizkit, that PCI, the Gangnam Style song, Gangnam Style, hey. A lot of people don't realize that he's also doing underground work, like low-key shit. And the only reason I know this is because here, where I live in Ventura, California, or Ventura County, however you want to call it, he worked with a guy about 15 years ago named Down, which is a rapper who had the hit single Lean Like a Cholo. You remember that song? Well, before Lean Like a Cholo even blew up, he had a song called California Cowboys with Snoop Dogg. And that always made me think how much diverse Snoop Dogg was as far as working with people. I'm sure there's other underground artists that Snoop Dogg has worked with that I don't even know of. I'm sure you pay him a good buck or two, he'll be featured on your album. Snoop Dogg is diverse. You have the Crip Snoop Dogg, you have the Pimp Snoop Dogg, you got the business Snoop Dogg, you got the Snoop Dogg that works with the homies, with the cholos, with everybody. Snoop Dogg has so many looks, and that's what makes him so fascinating too, is that he is always different, man. Snoop Dogg has worked with all the greats: Dr. Dre, Eminem, Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar. Snoop Dogg is the great because he has been through all the eras in hip-hop. He has worked with the greats. He has been through so many labels. He has seen the pinnacle of hip-hop. To be honest, Snoop Dogg is part of the pinnacle of hip-hop. He is up there in the story of hip-hop has a story, and Snoop Dogg is part of that in a big way. Because I don't know what's going on today in hip-hop, though I do enjoy it. There's some of it that I hate. Snoop Dogg is in the history of it, and I believe he will always be there, and people will always recognize him for that. Now, one thing that I find weird to say, people always say that if Tupac and Biggie were alive today, hip-hop would be different. And I say, how? How do you know? I always believe that an artist will evolve with the times, and I think Snoop Dogg is the perfect definition of that. I think Tupac and Biggie would have been what is today, and that means that while a lot of their great work might have been behind them, they probably still would have been making music today, probably doing something else in business or movies or just, activism. I believe they would have been active, but their careers wouldn't have been as big as in the early days. And I could be wrong on that. You could critique me all you want, but I do believe that. Who's to say? We look at Tupac and we look at Biggie as youngsters, as 25-year-olds who passed away. But Snoop Dogg is still going. He's from that era. So I do believe that Snoop Dogg is pretty much the perfect definition of where Tupac and Biggie would have been today. And that's just my honest opinion. Snoop Dogg has done movies. He has been in Training Day, which is a very high-rated movie. Baby Boy, which could have more of a cult following, but people remember Baby Boy very well. Snoop Dogg as being the bad guy in that movie, and goddamn did he play that role very well. Snoop Dogg also has a role that you probably should check out, is in The Wash with Dr. Dre. Eminem probably in it, exhibits in it. It's a good movie. It's equivalent to a Friday. It's always not looked upon or ever acknowledged. But The Wash with Snoop Dogg is a freaking great movie.
Can you believe this motherfucker Sean just threatened to fire me, cuz? Who the fuck he think he is?
Today is August 16th, 2019. As I'm recording this video about Snoop Dogg, he is releasing an album today called I Wanna Thank Me, which is funny, which is a speech he gave after getting a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I'm definitely interested. He has 2 singles out, which both are freaking dope. One with Swiss Beats, which is great because it has that old West Coast sound and that old West Coast whistle.
Here we go. Nigga, understand, West Coast son of Sam.
I would go out and check that out, including a second song, which I'm sorry I can't remember right now, which is a dedication to Nipsey Hussle.
God so loved the world, he gave us a good crib. The late great neighborhood Nip.
Which ironically comes out the day after Nipsey's birthday. Or maybe it was coincidence, who knows. Anyway, Snoop Dogg is still active, and while he's 17 albums deep, some albums you might not remember, some of them you probably stopped listening to Snoop Dogg a long time ago. I would suggest that you listen to Snoop Dogg still, and in an orderly fashion. But Snoop Dogg should be the greatest of all time. He should be at number 1. Am I wrong? Why don't you tell me? In the following weeks, I will continue to make more videos about the greatest rappers of all time that never get mentioned. And hopefully I do more on my homework, but I wanted to get this out to you guys, kind of get a feedback of what you think, because I think Snoop Dogg is great. Snoop Dogg should be on everybody's list, but he's not. There are so many other rappers that are never mentioned. We have a generic list now, and we tend to stay by that. But why? Please let me know. Subscribe to Cblock 1985. Please comment in the section below. Goodbye.